It started as a faint flicker, a tiny blip moving through the vast emptiness of our solar system. But what telescopes first in Hawaii and then across South Africa caught would soon chill the scientific world. NASA confirmed the object's existence, and immediately, questions multiplied. It wasn't following any known orbit. It was moving faster than anything expected, and its path traced back not to the familiar edges of our system, but from the dark depths of interstellar space. At first, it seemed like just another rock, but the data told a different story. Its reflections were too precise, its speed too exact, its trajectory too deliberate. Now, as the James Webb Space Telescope turns its unparalleled gaze toward this visitor, we are forced to confront a possibility that humanity has never faced before. What if this object isn't merely passing through? What if it's watching us? And if so, what message might it carry? First detected between June 25th and 29th, the object, now officially named 3IA Atlas, appeared on the radar of the ATIS sky scanning system, a network designed to catch potentially hazardous objects before they could surprise us. From the very beginning, it didn't behave like anything astronomers had catalogued. Its speed exceeded 120,000 miles per hour, far beyond the normal range for asteroids or comets, and its orbit ignored the gravitational patterns that govern known solar system bodies. When researchers traced its trajectory backward, simulations suggested an origin not from the Oort cloud or the outer planets, but from interstellar space, possibly even from the heart of our galaxy. This wasn't a remnant of our solar system's formation. It had been traveling unseen through the darkness for tens of thousands of years, silently crossing the void until now. But the deeper mystery wasn't just where it came from, it was why it had arrived at this precise moment, and why its passage seemed almost deliberate. Before 2017, no interstellar objects had ever been observed. Now, in just a few short years, we've encountered 3, and each one is stranger, faster, and more inexplicable than the last, forcing scientists to confront questions that stretch the limits of our understanding. As news of 3E Atlas spread, scientists around the globe scrambled to get time on the James Webb Space Telescope, the most powerful observatory ever built, capable of seeing farther and deeper than anything before it. Webb's instruments focused on the object revealed anomalies that defied conventional physics. Its brightness didn't match its apparent size, too intense for what should have been a small inert rock. The surface reflected light in a way that suggested metal, highly polished, cold, and possibly hollow. Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb, who had previously suggested that the 2017 object Oumuamua might have been artificial, urged teams to investigate non-gravitational acceleration, subtle deviations in motion that could indicate intentional navigation rather than passive drift. If such movements were confirmed, this would no longer be just a celestial visitor, it would be an object making decisions, exhibiting control over its path. Compared to its predecessors, Oumuamua and Borisov, Atlas combined the inexplicable brightness of the first with the volatile trajectory of the second, creating a puzzle that challenged every known category. Its behavior suggested more than randomness. It hinted at purpose, a deliberate passage through our solar system at a time when humanity's eyes and instruments were finally sharp enough to notice. As Webb continued to observe 3I Atlas, the data became increasingly baffling. The object was accelerating in ways that could not be explained by solar radiation or gravitational forces alone. There was no visible tail, no outgassing, no signs of propulsion, yet it continued to adjust its trajectory with unnerving precision. Infrared measurements revealed a faint but consistent thermal signature, orderly, patterned, and stable, unlike the chaotic heat one would expect from a natural rock or icy body. Scientists began to quietly whisper that what they were seeing might indicate control, a level of sophistication impossible for an ordinary interstellar object. Spectral analysis further deepened the mystery. Instead of typical asteroid or comet compositions, the surface displayed advanced carbon structures and hints of symmetry in its rotation, as if intentionally engineered. Variations in electromagnetic readings suggested internal complexity, perhaps cavities or layered density. Every new observation only amplified the unsettling possibility. This wasn't just unusual, it was constructed artificial in nature. From NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory to the European Southern Observatory, and even in classified corners of defense agencies, the question reverberated silently. If nature didn't make this, who did? And if someone did, why now and why here? As public attention grew, an unexpected silence fell over the official channels. Agencies that had initially shared trajectory data and light curves, NASA, ESA, and ISRO, suddenly restricted access. Mission pages stopped updating, observational timelines vanished, and requests for raw web data were denied under the guise of internal review. Journalists' FOIA requests returned heavily redacted documents, while whispers of unusual activity circulated among observatories. Researchers were reassigned, telescope feeds quietly restricted, and specialists pulled from the team. The sudden tightening of information hinted at something far beyond normal scientific caution. Analysts began to suspect that this was no ordinary discovery. It wasn't just about cataloging a new celestial object, it was about controlling knowledge of something extraordinary. Once a discovery reaches a threshold that challenges physics, security, or belief, it transcends science and enters the realm of control, where silence is as important as the data itself. The James Webb observations were no longer just revealing an object, they were exposing a potential inflection point, a moment that could redefine humanity's understanding of space, our place in it, and perhaps who or what has been watching all along. As Webb's instruments continued to monitor the object, the data revealed something even more unsettling. The mysterious visitor was accelerating in ways that couldn't be explained by solar radiation or gravitational forces. There was no visible outgassing, no cometary tail, no particles streaming from its surface, yet it subtly altered its trajectory with precise, deliberate motion. Infrared observations confirmed a faint but consistent thermal signature, stable and patterned rather than chaotic like a natural body. This behavior mirrored anomalies seen with Oumuamua, where unexplained acceleration had sparked quiet concern among scientists. Now, with 3i Atlas, the evidence was undeniable. Something was controlling the object's movement. Spectral analysis further shocked researchers. Expected materials like silicates, iron or ice were missing. Instead, absorption lines hinted at advanced carbon structures, materials more consistent with engineered construction than natural formation. Reflectivity was unusually high, and the spin exhibited a symmetry rarely seen in random cosmic debris. Electromagnetic fluctuations suggested internal complexity, cavities, layered density, or even structures within. Whatever this was, it wasn't a simple rock or ice chunk drifting aimlessly. It was a deliberate presence. And if it wasn't natural, the implications were staggering. The object could be artificial, a message in motion, a probe built to endure millennia and silently observe. Humanity was no longer merely observing space. It might be under observation itself. As news of the object spread through the scientific community, a strange pattern of silence began to take hold. Agencies that had initially shared trajectory data and light curves, NASA, ESA, and ISRO, suddenly went quiet. Mission pages stopped updating, observational timelines vanished, and requests for raw James Webb data were denied, citing internal review. FOIA requests returned heavily redacted documents, and whispers began leaking from inside observatories. Researchers were reassigned, specialists pulled from teams, and access to telescope feeds was quietly restricted. The public, once fed a narrative of curiosity, now faced closed doors. Analysts speculated that something extraordinary had been discovered, something that challenged not just physics, but the very frameworks of belief and security. Once a discovery reaches that threshold, it ceases to be pure science and becomes a matter of control. And in space, control often manifests as silence. This was no longer just a celestial curiosity. It was an inflection point, a moment forcing humanity to reconsider centuries of assumptions about space, solitude, and our place in the cosmos. The possibility that this interstellar visitor was artificial, a relic from a civilization far older and more advanced than ours, was now quietly taken seriously in hushed corridors and encrypted communications. The very idea that the universe might be watching back sent shivers through those who understood the implications. We were not alone, and for the first time our presence may have been acknowledged. As James Webb continued to track the object, its instruments revealed details that deepened the mystery. Spectral analysis showed that its surface composition didn't match any known asteroid or comet. Certain absorption lines suggested advanced carbon structures, more commonly associated with engineered materials than natural geology. The reflectivity was unusually high, and the object's spin displayed an unexpected symmetry, hinting at deliberate design. Variations in electromagnetic readings suggested internal complexity, perhaps cavities or layered density, indicating it might be hollow or engineered in ways never seen in natural objects. Scientists were left grappling with a chilling possibility. This wasn't a simple chunk of space rock. If it wasn't natural, someone or something built it. Across observatories and defense agencies, discussions moved from curiosity to caution as the implications of a possible artificial interstellar object began to sink in. Every measurement, every deviation in its path, pointed to control, to intelligence. And as researchers pieced together the data, a haunting question emerged. If this object was designed to survive millennia and navigate interstellar space, then perhaps it had been watching long before we were ready to notice. As the days passed, a more unsettling realization began to spread quietly among scientists. The object's arrival might not be a random event. Its timing, combined with the growing sophistication of our instruments and the precise orientation of the James Webb Telescope, hinted at something deliberate, almost as if it were waiting for us to notice. The interstellar visitor didn't just drift through space. It seemed to test the limits of our detection, gauging our responses, measuring our curiosity, the pattern of its trajectory, the subtle accelerations that defied natural explanation, and the thermal signatures captured by Webb suggested a purpose, a message encoded not in words, but in presence. Researchers began to speculate in hushed conversations that perhaps this wasn't merely an object to observe, but a probe, part of a long-standing cosmic experiment. For billions of years, the universe had remained silent, with no signals, no obvious visitors. Yet now, at the exact moment humanity reached a threshold of scientific and technological awareness, something appeared, silent, precise, and undeniably intentional. The realization was chilling. Perhaps we were never the sole observers. Perhaps the void had been watching us all along, and the James Webb Telescope had merely revealed that we had finally been noticed. The James Webb Space Telescope was designed to peer into the farthest reaches of time and space, to uncover the origins of stars and galaxies, and to illuminate the unknown. Instead, it has turned our attention inward, showing us that the universe may have been observing us long before we were ready to notice. The interstellar object, perfectly timed, anomalously bright, and seemingly intentional in its trajectory, challenges everything we thought we knew about the cosmos. It forces us to confront uncomfortable possibilities, that our understanding of natural laws is incomplete, that intelligence elsewhere might operate on scales and timelines beyond human comprehension, and that our role in the universe may not be that of passive observers, but of participants in a cosmic experiment. Whether natural or artificial, deliberate or coincidental, this discovery marks the beginning of a new era of awareness, one in which silence is no longer absence, and the void may be sending messages we are only just beginning to interpret. The cosmos is no longer a distant backdrop. It is an active, complex system with mysteries that demand our attention, our imagination, and our humility. We are standing at the threshold of understanding, and what we find next may forever change how we see ourselves, our planet, and the universe itself.